Hello everyone, it's Raza Von Werder, aka Kelly Everts, talking about my biography, my personal and private life. People know me for my accomplishments and my activities: stripper for God, progenitor, female bodybuilding, female supremacist, a leader in the world matriarchal movement, preaching women taking over the world, women's greatness, woman thou art God is my famous website. But now I've never preached or really talked much about my private personal life because it wasn't relevant to my work. But it is relevant to my work at some point, and now is the point. We have come to that place in my life where it should be known. I think it's important to know that a person's background can shape them and make them. It can bring out their best potential, or it can wound them. You know, boys that are raped and raped and raped by their fathers as children, and many are. I know the statistics. Excuse me, the statistics are terrible. The military statistics, I know I've heard various things from various people, but the statistic that I believe in, and I would even say it's worse than what it sounds like. The military says 49% of all females were abused by their fathers, were sexually molested by their fathers, and 25% of all boys. This is only by a father. What about their uncles, their grandfathers, their brothers? Priests, ministers, scout leaders, and other people. I believe that much more than 49% of girls were sexually abused. I believe it's more like 75%. I believe that the girl and the boy that get away with not being molested are in the minority. So, some of these people, I say some, nothing amazing or unusual happens, and they lead their lives, and they seem normal, and they seem average. Some do monstrous things, like rape, abuse, and kill. Some of them become serial rapists, some become torturers, some become stabbers, just horrible crimes, horrible violence, all kinds of horrendous things, because they are damaged, they are sick, and they were made sick, usually by men. Sometimes the women cooperated, sometimes the women did, but it's more often than not by men. So I want to tell you that my background, even though I was badly abused from starting age 10, my background was rich in culture, rich in education, and because of my father, rich in love. My first 10 years were idyllic. After that, it was rough going. But it is your first 5 years and more which are the crucial years. Well, for one thing, I was breastfed. Breastfeeding is very important. You know, I wrote a book called Breastfeeding is Lovemaking Between Mother and Child. So even though my mother abused me, my mother nevertheless, when I was a child, she was mean. She was mean to everyone. But she was not more mean to me than the others until I was 10. And she breastfed me just as she breastfed all the children. So this was a plus. This is a plus. And an important plus. Because children need skin-to-skin touch with their moms to learn love. She was also a good housekeeper and a good, she was a good mother until she decided to target me for abuse. our Lithuanian community, when we came from Germany, our Lithuanian community, until we left and because of a scandal that my mother made, my father ran a school. He started a school. It petered out, and then it became, it diminished down to like 15 kids, from 100 kids down to 15 kids. And we were the us in the family were part of it. Every Saturday we had catechism. Now, our community, we had to perform. I mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. My performance, every year we had here's our kids. Here, they're all going to perform. My performance was always poetry. I would memorize a poem from the age of 6, 7, 8, and read the poem. Recite the poem, I should say. Not read, recite. In Lithuanian, some kids would dance, some kids would sing. Some kids would read from really grown-up, difficult books, and they were so good at reading Lithuanian, they would read. Like, one of my best girlfriend did that, best Lithuanian girlfriend. When we had Lithuanian get-togethers, we all had to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which he stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We had to say that, and then we had to sing the Lithuanian national anthem. Lietuva tėvynė mūsų, da 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 da, išmaitos Lietuvos, da 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 da, išmaitos Lietuvos. See, I remember a little bit of it, but we were disciplined. We were loved, we were cultured. I was exposed to classical music, opera, and ballet from the time I can remember, and I still to this day am devoted to it, love it. And when I came to America, I was shocked that Americans are not devoted, except for the most elite people. They're not devoted to this sort of the arts. So it was a cultural shock when I came here to America, and it was also a shock as far as no manners. People had no manners, except the elites. Again. So we had manners of elites. Now, my family, what class were we in? We were not poverty class. We were not working class. We were the intelligentsia class. We weren't wealthy, but we were wealthy in education and culture. We were up there. My father was a professor. We were up there. Just let me not brag about it. Let me just say we were up there. And we became very poor when we came to America. We became physically, financially poor, but we were not poor in culture and education. Our activities, we had wonderful Christmases and holidays. I don't know if we celebrated Thanksgiving because we were from Europe, but we had wonderful Easters, wonderful Christmases, and Christmas everyone came. There were like 15 people every Christmas. My parents invited my aunt and uncle and all the important members that we were close to in our community, and there would be at least usually 10 to 15 people invited, and we would have a spread of food, and it was traditional. We had certain dishes that we ate only at Christmas. I mean, there were 2 tables covered with the amazing and wonderful food that my mother made, and from everything, including special cakes that were made only on Christmas, and Easter was the same thing. We had Easter cheese. It was like farmer's cheese, but sweet with almonds. Just very special. Lithuanian food, has its own traditions, and it was, and somebody in the people would always give us kids money. See, that was their way of alleviating some of the expense, and they would give $10 was big bucks. $10 then was like $100 today. So some guy would always give us kids $10. And we would give that $10 to Mom, of course. We didn't give it later. So that was, that was a very indirect way of saying thank you, for the repast. Here's my contribution. And So I had a rich cultural life. And that included religion, and religion was the most important part of my life. Always has been, religion, spirituality.